Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unfucking Your CX. I'm your host, Zack Hamilton. And today I'm really excited. There's one thing that's bringing me optimism as we close out the year of 2025, and that is practitioners, SaaS companies, consultants. A lot of us share that same mindset that our discipline of CX is rapidly evolving. And quite frankly, we need to evolve as well. And I'm really excited for today's guest, Michael Cooksey, who I just pitched on LinkedIn. Hey, why don't you come on? You have a lot of experience in customer experience. So, Michael, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you so much. I am so glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to an engaging discussion that hopefully gets everybody's gears turning who might be listening to this and thinking about their CX programs in 2026.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started, Michael, from listening to the podcast,
hmm
I like to just set the scene, set the vibe. Like, where's this conversation take place for you? Is it like at your favorite restaurant, bar? We had a sporting event. Are we hiking through the woods that I've done before? Like, what are we doing, man?
Well, I see CX conversations happening all over the place at all different levels. I see CX conversations happening at the level of customer interactions at your favorite coffee shop. I see CX conversations happening at conferences, online, in newsletters. It's everywhere. It's part of this community everywhere theory, really. I think we as CX practitioners are naturally inclined to seek each other out and form community wherever we are. And so, at one level, it's timeless, it's placeless, it happens everywhere and anywhere all at once. And at the other level, it happens in one on one conversations like this. Uh, my mind today, especially, and as we look at where 2025 has taken us, my mind today, looking at CX, is in a digital space, looking at things from the perspective of digital communities, online communities, and what we, the royal we, as tech companies or tech adjacent companies, are providing to customers with regard to CX. So I'm looking at this from a somewhat esoteric perspective, I guess, in terms of where are we, where is the conversation happening, and then also looking at it from a very practical perspective of this is where things are, and this is where the future is headed, and this is what we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, I love this perspective because you're right. From a digital community place, they're everywhere, right? I mean, people are starting their own kind of Slack communities. You can find
hmm
Reddit threads,
hmm
communities on Reddit. Tech companies have their own digital
Yeah.
communities.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things when I started in CX, or should I say, CX just dropped into my lap 15
Yes.
years ago. I had no clue what I was doing, right? Because I never set out to be a CX leader. Man, I really wish I had digital communities that I could really engage in for thoughtful conversation. And I'm curious, like, it seems like the different communities I engage in, it's the same folks. Why do you
hmm
think more and more CX practitioners and even executives are not engaged in these communities?
Well, that's a big topic. And I'll just say at the outset that I know everyone is sick of hearing about AI, but I am going to say a few things about AI today because, on the one hand, it's unavoidable, but two, it's very germane to this conversation. Um, just to, you know, take us to story time with grandpa here for a second. I've been working in tech for a long time. And I remember when I started in tech, everybody was quoting Google's "don't be evil" philosophy. Everybody was very excited about the possibilities in tech, especially consumer tech, and working with communities of end users, customers, practitioners. And I remember at that time, companies that I was working for, startups, companies of all sizes, we were bending over backward to ensure the best possible end user experience. And because I've spent most of my line and most of my work in the online tech world, I'll be referencing the online CX experience a lot. I think where we are currently compared to where we've been is very, very influenced by the expansion of technology, not just AI, but this expansion of tech everywhere in our pockets. And of course, being shepherded as consumers to using tech more. I am not by any stretch an old person, I would say, but I do remember when the iPhone came out and this whole concept of applications and having essentially this supercomputer in your pocket that you could where you could access almost anything at any time. And being able to see where we were from a CX perspective before that, and now post iPhone into the application based world, and now this AI centric world, I think where perhaps we've gotten a little bit off track with regard to CX and where we're under indexing on online communities and spaces, to your question, is essentially this proliferation of AI. And I think there's, to a certain extent, we're over indexing again, we, the royal we, in terms of tech. I think we're over indexing on the enthusiasm for AI, one. And then two, I think we're over indexing on consumer enthusiasm for AI as well. I think we have to remember that we ourselves are in this very insular world. We think it's much, much larger than it actually is. When you look at, for example, the experience of the average US citizen who does not work in tech, they are not going about their day thinking about AI typically. They are not going about their day thinking about the problems that tech can solve for them. They just want to be unblocked wherever they are, whether they're an end user of a particular software program or a retail consumer or somebody who works in heavy industry. Really, they're just looking for quick solutions to their problems. And so I think this year, especially and last year, where a lot of tech leaders have perhaps focused a little too heavily, is this digital experience as opposed to the human experience. And there's a great quote that I will use here for inspiration from John Steinbeck. And John Steinbeck said in East of Eden, there's this great quote where he said, "The free exploring mind of the human is one of the most valuable things in the world." And that applies to our worlds, bringing us into a narrower focus here in tech. Why would we want to steer customers away from any sort of forum or destination where they can be free thinking humans exploring ideas, giving us real time feedback, telling us about their problems? Why would we want to avoid that? It seems like there's in this race to keep up with the speed of technology, we're thinking about shepherding people to self-service resources with a lot of guardrails where they are speaking to bots or speaking to bots before they get to an eventual human. And what I have found in my work, working in the world of digital and online communities of all shapes and sizes and in all industries, is that people really, really value the human connection. And now more than ever, especially since we are, as I said, in my personal opinion only, not reflective of any employer I've ever worked for, but in my personal opinion, I think we're over indexing on the enthusiasm of where technology is taking us. In this case, AI in the world of CX. And I think that we need to actually be doubling down or balancing out as much as we can digital communities and offering digital communities. And like I said before, giving our customers a place to exercise their free exploring minds, because that's really the most valuable thing that we can give them. And also, that human connection is the most valuable thing that we can have as CX practitioners, because it's ultimately humans that we are serving. But you wouldn't know that nowadays by looking at a lot of what's out there in the tech world. I think we're forgetting we are here for people.
Yeah, I can't wait to unfuck the over indexing piece and just, but I gotta tell
Yes.
you, I'm with you. I absolutely remember when I traded in my BlackBerry World Edition. First of all, that's when I
Yes.
first kind of entered in the world of like multi-unit leadership, and I thought I was like the hottest stuff on the block, having that World
Yes.
Edition and trading it in for my iPhone. And I can tell you the exact weekend it happened. I was actually on my way to my brother-in-law's house because I was about to run a marathon, and I'm like setting up my iPhone, like exploring how it worked. And I ran the entire marathon with my iPhone. That's not something I could have done with my world. I could have with my world edition, but it wouldn't have made sense. But I'm
Right.
with you too. And I think about this human to human connection. I've just been thinking about my own travel schedule the last kind of 3 months. And fortunately, I haven't been able to go anywhere. So I've been able to stay home and work from home and connect with my family. But I also miss being with clients in person and that human to human connection. And I'll tell you, one of the best conferences that I went to, I actually didn't even pay for a ticket to go in to the conference. I actually just had a hotel room and I just sat in the lobby and just scheduled meetings, had conversations with CXers. We would grab a coffee or grab a beer. And I spent my
Hmm.
entire 3 days in the lobby connecting in individually, groups of two, three, four. And we were all just talking about specific topics and we were debating healthy debate, right? Not where people get pissed off because one person doesn't like MPS anymore. And so I'm with you. I miss this type of human human connection. So when we think about
Hmm.
over indexing, what's your first player tip for tech companies out there
Hmm.
who are trying to get closer to their end user, their own clients,
Hmm.
but yet they're trying to optimize efficiency with AI? So what's your first player tip?
Yeah. My first player tip is offer an online community. It doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be a channel. And I will say there is an asterisk to this player tip, and that asterisk is this is not a marketing channel. This is not a marketing play, right? A lot of people, when it comes to fixing their CX or untangling their CX, a lot of times they want to apply a marketing band-aid. But I can't tell you or your listeners, I cannot emphasize this enough. Offer your customers an online channel where they can just be people and where you can connect with them as people. I guarantee you, from my experience working in communities of all shapes and sizes and all industries, it will help your CX program. It will power your CX program. It will end up becoming the basis of everything you do. But that asterisk I mentioned of this is not a marketing channel is very, very important. I think we're in a world too where we're seeing so much has become depersonalized, as it relates to a human to human connection, as you
Yeah.
were saying. And we don't have as many opportunities, it seems, anymore because we're being shepherded into these channels with guardrails where that's not necessarily available. I am also seeing, of course, outside of the world of SaaS, just in personal digital consumption. We're also seeing a huge rise in people who are paying for AI companions, things like that. People are talking to Chat GPT because they're lonely or they feel isolated. All of that is connected to what we're doing here in our worlds as well with digital communities. There has to be a place to be able to connect as humans. And what I've noticed this year, this is purely based on my experience. I don't have any hard data to back this up, but I stand by it. What I've noticed in my company's online community this year is that people are joining faster and sooner as part of their onboarding with our company than they ever have in the past. And I think it's because there's an appetite for human connection
Yeah.
where, perhaps AI is being, in some cases, overly promoted. The other thing I will say is that people are sharing much, much more in online communities, especially ours, than they ever have in the past. Not just problems, not just, I'm unsure how to overcome this barrier, or something you may have seen a few years ago in an online forum, a complaint about a product change or feature change. What we are seeing this year is a real human connection, starting with this central molecule of CX and expanding out into this is what my world looks like. These are the stressors that we're seeing. People are expected to work at the speed of technology now. And that was not the case when I joined tech. I don't think that was the case when you joined tech either. There was an expectation that we are humans. We're not going to work like a server that never experiences downtime or anything like that. But it's happening more and more, and it's coming through in what people are sharing in online communities. People who are running CX programs, people who are running voice of the customer programs and trying to keep up with the evolution of tech. people want and need to be able to connect with humans even more. So the player tip, I know I took us on a journey, but to circle back to the initial question, the player tip here is offer your customers a channel. It can be a Slack channel, it can be a basic forum, it can be a Reddit, a subreddit, it can be something on Discord, any place.
Yeah.
Just offer it and make sure that people know we are here to listen to you and connect with you. We're not here to market to you. We're not here to treat you like somebody in a lead list. We want to connect with you as a human.
I'd say asterisk marketers, stay the fuck out. That's what Michael's saying in a very nice way.
Yes, you have successfully read in between the lines. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. People don't want to be told, come join our community, and then served a white paper
That's
or a gated case study. They want to connect with other people. And I'm going to lay this prediction out now. I hope I'm wrong, but my prediction is I see companies in the future charging more for human connection as a luxury versus where things are going now, which is digital first,
yeah.
digital self-serve first. You want to actually connect with a human, even in written async forum format, that's going to cost you. I hope I'm wrong, but that's essentially where I see things going. And what I mentioned before with this new consumer world of paying for AI companions and things like that, I see that potentially moving into our world.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Another quick literary reference I'll make is one of my favorite authors and speakers, Fran Lebowitz, has this great saying that if something is popular, I assume it's probably bad, and that this has always guided me well. And I think in this case, there is some truth to that. I think that I don't want anyone to listen to this and think Michael's message is AI is bad and human only is good. I think there's a time and place for everything and a balance that can be struck between these tools. And I'll also just say a lot of what people are calling AI these days is not actually AI. It's old technology that's being repackaged as AI. Word aggregators, word clouds that were breaking
Yeah.
in terms of technological advancement back in 2012. A lot of that is being called AI now, but I don't know that it truly is. But all that to say, we need to start indexing more in the direction of human connection, giving people this place to be free exploring humans who can wrestle with ideas, CX ideas and theories together, and then come away with a new perspective. There's really nothing more valuable.
I couldn't agree more. And I think actually you wrapped all three of your player tips up in that. You know, Michael, I'll leave with this. I read on the news a couple weeks ago, to your point of people who are engaging with ChatGPT. There was this person, I can't remember in what state, but they fell in love
Yes,
with ChatGPT. Did you see that story? And they actually wanted to
yes,
marry the specific kind of chat
yes.
interaction. And I was just thinking to myself, is there no church around? Like, is there no community that they could go meet with in person to get that connection that they're looking for, right?
Hmm.
And to your point, I think AI is kind of the new NPS. You remember when
Hmm.
10, 15 years ago, every CEO is like, okay, my buddy on the golf course has got an NPS. I got to have an NPS too.
Yes,
Now it's like
yes, yeah.
AI and AI. Michael, this is such a great conversation. I got to wrap it up. But if any of our listeners,
LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I'm Michael Cooksey. LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Anyone can message me. I view the world of online communities and digital communities as a non-competitive sector or piece of what we do in terms of our work in tech,
yeah,
and tech being a broad, all-encompassing category. I say that to say I am happy to help anybody. And I do help people all the time for free. I don't charge anything. I feel like when everybody is successful with communities, then we're all winning. And it's a better human experience all around. And it leaves people in a much better place ultimately than where they started. So feel free to find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to advise in any way, shape, or form as much as I can in terms of online communities, digital communities, how to start with them, how to get them going in the right way, the right direction for them. And I've also collected a lot of literature over the course of the years that I share freely with people. So I'm more than happy to connect with anybody on the topic of community and form micro community around the term community as
Exactly.
well.
That's amazing. And for all of our listeners, I will link all of Michael's contact details too in the newsletter on LinkedIn where we drop the podcast. Michael, again, thank you so much for joining the hot seat. I know you might have a few more topics, so don't be shy.
I do. I feel like we could easily keep going.
Yeah,
There's so much to unpack, but I think this is a great initial conversation and introduction into the world of digital communities. And I can't thank you enough for inviting me to be a part of the
yeah,
conversation.
absolutely. Cheers, man.
Thank you.